Wouldn't it be great if the Democrats just opened up the government so that we did not have to make these very difficult decisions? You hear a lot of Senate Democrats say, well, how can Donald Trump possibly lay off all of these federal workers? Well, the Democrats have given us a choice between giving low-income women their food benefits and paying our troops on the one hand, and on the other hand, paying federal bureaucrats. Well, given that choice, we're going to choose low-income women. We're going to choose our troops. That is the choice the Democrats have given us. I would really appreciate if they gave us a different choice. The country would be better off for it.
Washington is on edge. As the government shutdown enters its 12th day, tensions between the White House and Democratic leadership have reached a boiling point. And just when the political standoff seemed to hit a deadlock, Vice President JD Vance stepped forward this morning, breaking his silence with a blistering takedown of Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. According to Vance, the ongoing shutdown is nothing short of a manufactured crisis, engineered by Democrats to obstruct President Trump's reform agenda. But instead of backing down, the administration has doubled down. Yesterday, the president followed through on his promise to streamline the federal government, cutting more than 4,000 positions that officials described as redundant, unnecessary, and politically entrenched. The move has already sent shockwaves through Washington's bureaucracy. Federal agencies from Health and Human Services to the EPA confirmed that employees had received reduction in force notices, marking one of the most sweeping workforce cuts in modern U.S. history. And now, Vice President JD Vance has made it clear that the administration isn't backing off. It's taking aim directly at what he calls the bureaucratic sabotage created by decades of political gridlock. Here's what he had to say this morning.
Well, the plan is that when you're in a shutdown, and we're in the shutdown, of course, because Schumer and the Democrats shut down the government because they were trying to force us to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. And now that we're in this shutdown, we're trying to figure out how to ensure that as many Americans receive essential services as possible. We're doing a lot to ensure that low-income women and children get their food benefits. We're trying to make sure that flood insurance and other insurance programs don't disappear during the height of hurricane season. But we're also, Maria, doing some pretty non-conventional things, as President Trump often does, to ensure that our troops are able to get paid. We are confident we've identified the legal pathways in order to do this, but it's really important for the President of the United States. Even though Schumer shut down the government, he doesn't want our troops to suffer because of it. Of course, he doesn't want our national security to suffer because of it either.
And as many of you already know, when the federal government shuts down, it doesn't just affect politicians in Washington. It disrupts the lives of millions of hardworking Americans. Essential services are paused, critical agencies are left understaffed, and even active duty military personnel temporarily go without pay. It's a ripple effect that touches every corner of the country, from border security to healthcare support. However, the Trump administration says it isn't standing by idly. According to officials, a comprehensive plan has been put in place to ensure that those serving on the front lines, especially our troops, continue to receive the support they deserve, even during the shutdown. The goal, they say, is simple: to protect the people who protect America.
Chuck Schumer is incapable of telling the truth right now. I mean, he's been in Congress for 44 years, Shannon. I mean, almost half a century. He knows this is basic civics. Every 8th grade civics student can point out the fallacy in what he just said. It requires 60 votes in the Senate to get this through. We only have 53 Republicans. We've got to have a handful of Democrats in the Senate who apply common sense and agree to reopen the government so that we can continue all these discussions. As you pointed out to Hakeem Jeffries, this is a clean continuing resolution. What that means for folks back home is it's exactly the same levels of spending. By the way, it's Biden-era policies and spending, which we loathe. But we're trying to get through the appropriations process to change that and fix it for the country, and they ran out of time because the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, we just need 7 more weeks to finish it. And right now they're eating up the clock. They're doing this for political cover. Chuck Schumer, when he voted for the exact same measure back in March, took a lot of heat from the left of his party, and he doesn't want to sustain that any longer. So he's doing this and inflicting pain for his own selfish reasons.
And honestly, folks, that's exactly the right way to see it. The truth is, Chuck Schumer's manufactured government shutdown has done more than stall political negotiations. It has created a serious national security concern. In multiple ways, his partisan tactics have left the nation exposed, weakening essential operations and slowing down the very systems designed to keep Americans safe. It's not political spin. It's an undeniable reality that even some within his own party quietly acknowledge.
The longer it goes on, Maria, the more significant they're going to be. If you remember, we went 9 days before announcing any significant layoffs. Again, the President of the United States wanted to reopen the government. He was trying to work with Democrats in order to make that happen. But the longer this goes on, the deeper the cuts are going to be. And Maria, to be clear, some of these cuts are going to be painful. This is not a situation that we relish. This is not something that we're looking forward to. But the Democrats have dealt us a pretty difficult set of cards. We're trying to do the best that we can with the shutdown situation that Chuck Schumer.
And of course, as many of you already know, the real reason Senator Chuck Schumer has chosen to shut down the federal government has little to do with policy and everything to do with politics. According to several insiders, Schumer's biggest fear right now isn't the shutdown itself, but the growing pressure from within his own party, particularly the threat of being primaried by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York. That political tension, sources say, is driving many of his latest decisions. But now, turning back to the developments inside the administration, Vice President JD Vance has weighed in on the sweeping federal layoffs announced this week. And folks, judging by the tone of his remarks, you're going to want to hear this next part. Take a listen.
The main thing that we're focused on, Margaret, is ensuring essential services remain open. And obviously, in a government shutdown, we have limited funds to work with because the appropriations that keep the government running have not been made. That's thanks to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. So we're trying to do everything that we can to ensure that low-income women and children get the food services that they need. We're trying to make sure that we pay our troops because that matters for national security. We also want our people to get their paychecks. That's where we've been focused. And unfortunately, what that does mean, Margaret, is that some federal bureaucrats are going to have to get laid off. This is not a situation that we're excited about. We want the government to reopen, but Chuck Schumer and the Democrats decided to shut down the government, and we have to deal with the consequences in the administration. So that's what.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, here's the cold, hard reality. Now that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have chosen to weaponize the federal government and deliberately manufacture this shutdown, it's no surprise that President Trump has decided to take decisive action. From the administration's perspective, this is the perfect moment to finally confront and remove the entrenched deep state operatives who have been working behind the scenes to undermine and obstruct the America First agenda. According to reports verified by multiple sources, these firings are not symbolic. They represent a direct effort to streamline government, cut waste, and restore accountability within the federal system. The administration insists that those being dismissed were part of the problem, not the solution.
Well, first of all, we don't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the healthcare of the American people.
It's at levels that you guys have already agreed to. A number of Democrats voted for this extension back in March. It's not adding or detracting anything. It's just continuing the levels of spending that currently exist.
Actually, it's not at levels that we agreed to. Democrats strongly oppose this legislation in the House because, in our view, it gut veterans' health care, gut funding for women, infants, and children programming, gut funding for affordable housing, and we know we have a housing crisis in this country. Housing costs are too high.
Just to be clear, though, it's not changing
current.
It's not changing current levels. Nothing's getting cut. It's at levels that you may not like, but it's about extending levels as they currently exist. Fair?
Right. We agree that current spending levels are unacceptable.
And so, folks, let's set the record straight for a moment. This is what real leadership looks like. When the pressure is on and when the Democrats decide to shut down the federal government, this administration is still making sure that America's most vulnerable citizens are protected. Essential programs remain funded. Families continue to receive the support they need. And most importantly, our veterans, the men and women who served this nation, are not being left without pay. That's a critical difference, because make no mistake, that's exactly what Senator Chuck Schumer and the Democrats were willing to risk for political leverage. But instead of giving in, the Trump administration stepped up to ensure those who defend our country aren't punished for Washington's political games.
Now, there's something else I want you all to see. Earlier this morning, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, one of Schumer's top allies, appeared on national television to defend the ongoing shutdown. And unsurprisingly, the interview didn't go well. His attempt to justify the Democrats' position only made things worse, and frankly, he ended up looking completely out of touch with the American people. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to set the record straight. The very same budget that the Democrats have now voted against 8 separate times in just the past 2 weeks was actually originally written and introduced by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats back in March of 2024. That's right. The plan they're now so desperate to reject is the exact same budget they created. So let's be very clear here. All the far-left gaslighting and finger-pointing trying to blame this shutdown on Donald Trump and the Republicans is nothing more than political theater. The truth is, the Democrats are simply doing what they've always done best, lying through their teeth to the American people. But here's the good news. We can all be grateful that President Trump is back in the White House, because now, for the first time in a long time, we have a leader who actually puts America first.